This is the Big Manifesto.
We are the Big B Manifesto. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube at TBB Manifesto. Basically, we're three composers and producers who are going to talk absolute rubbish, probably, about all different things of the music industry. So last week, what did we chat about, Johnny?
We spoke about gear we would buy at different price points.
How to get gear cheap, specifically music gear.
Music gear, yes.
Yeah, we should be specific about that. And this week we're going to talk about what we said we were, which was building relationships in the music industry. So first of all, you can get in touch, of course, if you're watching. You can send us a message on the Facebook live stream. I was meant to, last week, edit up the video and put it on YouTube at YouTube.com/TBB Manifesto. I didn't do that. I'm really sorry, guys.
Are we surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all.
Not in the slightest.
I will do it.
It's another
I will
promise.
eventually do it.
Did you do that as well? Your second promise?
We'll come to that. Before we get really deep into things and we start talking about our subject today, which is building relationships in the music industry. Of course, before this all kicked off, you were doing a lot of work for Hans Zimmer and his end of stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, since last August, about August, I was on tour with him, and then I followed him back to London and helped him out there with a few projects. And we were kind of, working right up until this COVID thing happened. And
Can you tell us about, the kinds of projects you were working on at the time?
I can tell you about a couple. I mean,
tell us the ones, the ones you don't have to kill us if you tell us.
Yeah, the ones that everyone can know. No, I mean, Wonder Woman is finished, Wonder Woman 1984. So we were doing a bit of work on that right towards the end of the project when I joined. They were scoring and, finishing up. So it was definitely just helping out towards the end. And then the main one that we were on from sort of December onwards was James Bond. The new
awesome.
Time to Die.
Never heard of it, mate. Never heard of it.
Who was that guy?
James who? What?
James
Daniel what?
Nice.
Yeah. So that was it. We were up on that until March, and then.
And so Billie Eilish did the kind of theme track for that, right?
Yep. Billie and her brother Phineas.
Right. So they work together as a kind of production duo. She's the obviously the voice and the face of it.
Yeah, well, I think, he's famous in his own right as a producer, not just of her music, but of other stuff that he's put out. And, his producer Grammys are for him as much as his work with his sister. Yeah. But, I'd say they were like a 50-50 duo. I don't know where the lyrical line is drawn, but definitely the way that they work together, they're a 50-50 outfit.
Yeah. I freaking love their music, her music. It's just incredible. It's one of the freshest things that's happened in pop music for the last, I would say, decade.
Yeah, it's
absolutely incredible.
And they're both so hard to put it into words how good they are at such a young age. It sounds dumb.
I know, it's really
infuriating. I hate it.
Yeah, so infuriating.
They have such good taste, and that's you can't teach that.
No, for sure. So on the note of teaching things, that's what we're going to try to do. Let's teach the things that cannot be taught. So like we said, we're talking about building relationships in the music industry, something that we're all reasonably okay at on varying levels. Mm-hmm. I think we'll get into that a little bit more. It's worth saying, if you're listening to this and you want to get involved and you want to ask some questions, you can ask us questions on the stream. We're going to keep an eye on it and we'll try and answer them as close to in real time as is physically possible. If you're watching this after the stream has finished, that's great. Still put the questions on. We'll interact with you afterwards. And then I'm going to do an edit together and put stuff on YouTube so you'll be able to gain access to it.
Are you actually going to do it this time?
Maybe. Now, coming back to the thing that you asked, well, I said I was going to do last week, which we had a call before this call just to chat about what we were going to chat about live. And you guys said, Tom, have you recorded a song on your phone?
Your phone only, no other gear used.
No other gear used. And I said, no.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah, so I would love to say I've had a busy week. I haven't. So I just kind of neglected to do it. But I did do something in the sort of half an hour leading up to this call because I panicked and I thought, right, I've got to do something, right? So I've got this. Now, I'm not saying it's my best work. I'm not saying it's my worst work. But it's some work. So I think this should now be our new theme tune.
Okay,
and I'll explain sort of limitations I found and stuff like that afterwards. Just so you can show, I'm literally playing it off my phone and I'm going to play it down the microphone. Okay, here we go.
Is that your vocal?
Of course it is, yeah.
Oh, God.
Come on, you know you love it. Move to it. Everybody get involved. Woo!
I can't.
It's gone very quiet, Tom, which is really, really unfortunate because I was really enjoying it.
Okay, all right. Anyway. Oh, I will stop it.
I mean,
there we go.
I have to say, that is definitely more developed than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Not bad for half an hour's work just before the
Not
call.
bad, yeah.
Okay, so consider this. I've never used any sort of software on a phone before to make music. So I think considering that, I know I've used other software and other things, but considering I was going totally fresh into it, I managed to get quite a lot done quite quickly. Secondly, there are no loops or samples in there. So I haven't just dragged stuff in and dropped them. Every single thing, beat and synth and everything, I played in on my phone. I didn't use a keyboard or any sort of other peripheral stuff. I don't even know if I could, but it was all done on the phone. Quantizing, everything done on the phone. I even used my iPhone headphones to record my vocal, and the only piece of external equipment I used,
A shaker.
shaker. So I think that's not bad, really, and I think that should be our new theme tune.
Yeah, we can discuss that later, Tom.
Yeah, another half an hour.
So the limitations I found, I couldn't work out. I tried to bounce it out, and so we could use the actual audio. Couldn't do that. Obviously, it's very limiting in being able to hear a sort of mixed quality or anything like that. That would be impossible to do on a phone. I'm struggling to work out how to use the kind of structural parts of this. So how to make section A, section B, and then how to kind of link them up and structure a full piece of music. So there are serious limitations. But I still stick by what I said last week, which is you could make an album on a phone. Not that I'm going to.
No. But I do have to say that's a very good effort, you know.
Well done, Tom.
Thanks. Thanks. I feel
Your
well
mum would be very proud of you.
She probably is.
You know.
So, yeah, well, there we go. Anyway, we'll figure out another challenge for somebody maybe for next week, because that was actually quite fun. If you think that was crap, let us know in the comments. If you think it was excellent,
a thumbs up if you think it was awful.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up. No, I'm going to consider any interaction to be a positive reinforcement of my work.
And that would explain why we've had zero interaction, I'd say.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Right. Okay. Let's get
right. Let's get to it. We're 15
Building-
minutes in and we haven't started talking about
I
arming.
know. And we were hoping to keep it down to an hour, but we will keep it down to an hour.
We will not go over an hour.
Even if we have to cut each other off.
It's outrageous. Yeah,
Cool.
come on.
Stop
Building relationships in the music industry. Who would like to kick us off about where we should start on this topic?
Well, I guess I can ask you a question about it. You know, we were talking about this before we started streaming, and the main thought I had was, right, who do you need in this network that you want to create?
That's a good one. So we're talking about I think there's a few steps there actually, because you've answered a lot all just in one sentence. What is, well, yeah, in a sense, because creating relationships in the music industry, you know, is that limited to networking? You know, is that about, you know, friends and just being a generally friendly person? I think we've got to go right back to the roots possibly with it and think, when did we start developing relationships that were important to our careers, right? So here's a good question for you, Lammy.
Yeah.
What is the earliest relationship that has influenced your career? Obviously.
A teacher, I think. It has to go back that far, doesn't it? Into, not in secondary school, but in A-level. So I had a teacher called Julian Pierre Mackenzie.
Julian, shout out.
Good name, good name.
And he was a great teacher, but he introduced me to film music, really, you know, and I had no idea about film music before that. I was just a guitar player, you know, 15 years old. I love Metallica and just shred all the time. And I have no real ear for anything other than metal or rock. And we had this module on film music in the first year of Music Tech A-level. And I remember hearing that Batman was meant to be on the module, and I was like, oh, yes, Batman. I love Batman. I'm definitely going to go to this class. And then found out the week before that we weren't doing Batman, guys.
Was
so
this circa like Batman,
Tim Burton.
The Dark Knight? Oh, no, this is earlier Batman. Batman.
I think Batman Begins had just come out that year.
Right.
But yeah, it was just Tim Burton Batman that we meant.
Yeah.
Anyway, I found out that wasn't going to be, we weren't going to be doing Batman, and I was really upset, and I very nearly skipped this class. That's not who I am.
Can you imagine?
Very nearly, because I didn't care about film music at all. I was like, you know, I just had no interest. I didn't have the ears for it. And I remember this class like it was yesterday, and it was in February, you know, the autumn, or not autumn, so the like kind of like gold sun in the morning was pouring into these windows in this like weird shaped classroom at the top of the building, and he just says this one thing that sunk in more than anything ever has. We're going to watch some films. We're going to watch the opening titles to some films.
Was that it? We're going to watch some films.
Yeah. No, he said, don't watch, listen.
Really?
And then he put on Michael Kamen's opening titles to Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and I was like, hang on a minute. Dung, 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 dung. You know, this is metal for orchestra. I'll have some of this, you know. But, you know, until that point, I didn't even know you could write that kind of music for an orchestra. And he was a really nurturing, you know, teacher at that point.
Have you kept in touch with him since? Have you had any, you know, because some relationships are key and instrumental, but obviously have their time and place, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, unfortunately not. He was definitely someone at the start of that journey, not right now, but you know, as influential as anyone.
Yeah. Now, actually, here's the thing, because obviously mine and Johnny's relationship goes back to we were in school together.
Deep. It's very deep. Very deep.
It runs very too deep. If anything, you know, too close. It's actually really difficult to still be around him. No, I love him. I actually said the other day, sorry, Lammy, you're lovely as well, but I said if I had to be stuck in a room for the rest of time with somebody, it would probably be Johnny Murrell, because he's quite
Tender.
Tender. Yeah.
And he's got a great chat. You can't deny that.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Now, yes.
So anyway, that's a good relationship. Obviously, from the get-go, it didn't start out a musical relationship, but I think, you know, when we first started getting into music when we were younger, I wanted to be a drummer, and our friends had a band. But one of the guys, Ben, he was like, no, mate, I'm learning the drums. I already got a kit, so you're going to have to do something else. So I picked up the bass, and I started learning some Earth, Wind and Fire and Dave Matthews Band. I know, let's not talk about that time.
No, that's fine.
And what else did we, just some like great tunes, like, oh, Lovely Day. by died recently. I can't believe I can't forget. People are going to roast me for this in the comments.
Roast them in the comments. Do it.
Bill Withers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like all those incredible bass lines sort of thing. And then that was my opening into music because I thought, I don't know if I can play those. And then I played them, and it was Pete Cranham, calling Pete Cranham out on this one. That was another great relationship at the beginning. He got me playing some stuff, showed me how to play it. We only played songs I wanted to learn how to play. You know, it wasn't any scales and stuff at the beginning, although I could have done with that a little later. And then we started played in a band a bit. You know, Johnny ridiculed me for my music because he was really better than me in every single way.
Yeah, that's all 100% true.
Yeah, he can vouch for that. And then I decided I wanted to do music. So there's three key things there. Friends who were playing music, who were inspiring, and I was like, oh, they're cool, they're my friends, I want to be in a band with them, or whatever it was. Probably the music I was listening to at the time, big influence. And then, of course, specific music teachers. As much as sometimes I think he probably despised me, we had a great music teacher called Mr. Wood, who had incredible energy in the classroom, and he actually won awards for his music teaching. That's like aside, but he would get very angry if you weren't pulling your weight and, you know, and learning. But his energy was incredibly inspiring as a music teacher. Johnny, what about you? Like, because we grew up together, who were the musical influences for you growing up? Me, of course. You know.
Oh, apart from you inspiring me to be much better than you. No, I went through probably about 3 trumpet teachers I started learning when I was 6. They were all like, you know, they got me into different kinds of music, got me into different bands. And then once you start meeting people in bands, you start, you know, meeting like-minded people, introduce you to other music, introduce you to other people. So that I can't put it down to any single thing that kind of led me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the important thing is like, just talk to people that are like-minded and be around people that like music, because
I mean, I guess what we're saying is like people who are probably listening to this video, for example, or watching this video, and thinking, you know, I'm interested in this because I'm interested in music, etc., etc. That's the key. They're already interested in music. They've already been inspired to be interested in music outside of simply listening to it and going, I quite like this. So maybe that's a little bit too early on in the relationship stage. So let's take it to the next level, right? The moment you go, right, I'm into music and I want to be a musician of some form, I want to be a composer, I want to be a producer, what are the relationships that are then important? And again, give some like examples in your own lives, and we'll talk about our own anecdotes with this. Lamy, you know, what were the first relationships you started to build intently?
Definitely when we got to university. That was, you know, that's when that kind of melting pot started to happen. And I think part of it as well, we were lucky because where we lived in uni, and for those listening in,
hi Arnie, by the way.
Those listening in and watching, me and Tom met at university. So this is kind of all linked. We were living on the same street, and our street was full of music people from the same course. So we were all over each other's houses, kind of listening to what everyone had done, working on stuff with each other. And then in our second and third year of uni, we all moved into a house that was nearly exclusively music students. And you know, we would walk from one room across the hallway to another, and someone would be working on a totally different style of music, totally different project in the year, or, you know, and we all learned from each other so much more than we could ever have learned from the course at university. That's not saying the course was bad or the teachers were bad or anything. They were very good, but
yes,
learned so much more from your peers. So initially I'd say like a really important thing I would try and instill in someone is to have a network of people, not that's like a network, but just friends that are also doing the same thing. Find like mini communities or forums if you're stuck in, or, you know, of people doing the same thing, and find people to bounce ideas off, bounce tracks off, get feedback from all the time, drop in on people doing their music and ask questions. How are you doing that? You know, what plugin are you using? How did you make that sound? And you learn so much more.
That's a really good point. And actually you made another good point, or you touched on something that is more relevant right now, which is people are stuck inside. It's still kind of locked down almost everywhere to varying degrees. So a lot of the things we're going to be saying about building relationships are slightly different, especially right now. So you've got the internet, you have access to that pool of knowledge, and building relationships safely on the internet is actually going to be super, super important for the next year or so at least. But I think going forward anyway, you know, there's nothing you can't find on the internet if you know where to look.
Yeah.
And everything musical, every musical answer you want, every production answer you want.
Well, and in that case, too many. You know, there are so many production videos and how to do this videos, and even for the simple stuff, if you just want to Google,
not all good.
There's a lot of rubbish. I mean, case in point. But
we're out here talking. Hello.
Hi, do interact with us. Let us know how rubbish we are in the comments. Excellent. Yeah, I agree. You know, once we got to uni, relationships took on a different level. You know, we all got along so well, but we were finding people who were exceptional at music and learning from them. I remember the first time Alex Szabo, great composer, as part of Mount Pleasant, Canadian electronic music, kind of folky electronic music group. Do check him out. He taught me how to do sidechaining for the first time. And that blew my mind. I was like, what? This is like new meta. It's absolutely incredible. And now I sidechain absolutely everything. Even in an orchestra. Yeah, no, indeed. Not necessary. But so I was just able to come across the hallway to you, because we were at university together, and effectively copy your coursework.
We're allowed to say that now, you know.
It's
we actually did get pulled up for plagiarism once, and that was probably the only time we didn't copy each other.
That was great. Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually. That's a story worth telling, because exactly as you say, we didn't copy each other, but we used the same score. I think you notated a score or something.
I forget exactly, but what I remember is that I didn't think there was another way to do this coursework. I thought we'd been almost told the answers. And I think that's why it came out the same. It was because there weren't many things that could have changed.
What it was is you had definitely done the kind of transcribing, initially, which was not part of the coursework. That's just something that had to be done in order to get to the step that was the coursework, right?
Right.
Because I'm quite useless at just getting stuff done, I then came to you and was like, mate, can I just nick your transcription, because I'll buy you a pizza later or something.
Just change a few of the words and
yeah exactly. So we took that and then we did our own separate coursework, but there was one note that was wrong, transcribed wrong, in the same place for both pieces of coursework. So it's like, something sneaky's gone on here. And our lecturer, who will remain nameless, cornered us both, and I do mean cornered us. He just got us both in the corner and was like, "You cheated." What? We haven't. No,
we didn't really have a leg to stand on either, because it was like, you live together, don't you? Yeah.
And this note's exactly the same. It's wrong in exactly the same place. And then we were like, "Well, we didn't, but this is what we did do. This was not part of the coursework, and we thought this was okay to do, etc., etc." Explained it, and then it was like, "Fine, you can get away with it if you buy me whiskey." And for a second, both of us were just like, is he being serious? Do we ask what whiskey? And then I think we did end up buying a bottle of whiskey, but unrelated to the situation, just because he was a great
I think it was
lecturer as well.
at the end of the year. That that's
Anyway,
sort of
let's get back on topic. I
Sorry,
think.
yeah,
We're on a massive
you're right.
tangent here.
Massive tangents. Relationships in the music industry. We're
Yeah.
on TBB, Manifesto on Facebook.
Mhm.
bribe your people with whiskey.
Yeah, bribe.
Yes, bribe.
Actually, that is
That's it. Bribe whoever you can
with whiskey.
expensive bottles of whiskey.
Exactly.
You can achieve many things.
You know what, though? That is relevant. There's a book called The 5 Languages of Love or something like that. And it's a great book. Go find it. It will teach you a lot about human beings and what they value and how they show appreciation and love to other human beings. And lots of people act in different ways. Some people need positive reinforcement in the form of words of affirmation, like "I love you guys," and that's important. That helps build a relationship. Other people, gifts show that you really care, and there's several others. Do check the book out. Find out what people value that you're trying to build a relationship with, and speak to them with that language of love. And if their language of love is whiskey, get them whiskey.
I'm a gin person, by the way. So
yeah, you're a love person. You love to be told that you're loved. 100%.
yeah, that's true. I mean, doesn't everyone feel like that?
I don't know. I think it's
Anyway, come on, guys, back on topic. Let's.
Okay.
So let's get back to where we tried to start from.
Yes.
Who is in this network? Let's say you're at the point now where you are a musician, a composer, you're trying to take your first step into maybe being professional or doing this for a living or, moving into that arena. Who do you have in this network? Who do you want in this network?
Good question. Johnny, you start us off with the people you think are most important.
Finding someone or a group of people who can do things that you can't do better than you. Like, just start working with people. So say you're an amazing pianist, but you really struggle with the tech side of stuff. If you know someone who's really good, a really good engineer, but not very good instrumentalist, like joining forces, or someone who's
I totally agree. It's a case of know your strengths. So
that's super important.
So I'm going to go with my strength is composing. I'm a good composer. Don't mind saying it. You know what I'm terrible at is administration and just keeping myself well organized and on task, as we've observed in this discussion as well. So the most important thing for me to have found early in my career was somebody who is exceptional at that side of it, who can help me out and cover my blind spots and fill the gaps in what I'm good at. There's another really good point here, which Johnny has now made, but I'm going to reinforce it with this, is that I can't remember where I read the research, but people are most effective when they focus on building up what they are best at rather than working on what they're worst at. I'm not saying ignore what you're bad at and don't try and get better, but if you spend all your time trying to get better at things you're subpar at, then you won't really explore the things you're truly great at. So find those people who are exceptional at the things you're terrible at.
Yeah. So that, for me and Tom, that's we're good writers, but we're not good engineers.
Yes.
So we work with two people who are
the best.
Engineers.
Yeah.
So they are great writers as well, to be fair to them.
Yes.
But
totally. We
just work to our strengths, and you'll just find if you do that, you'll have a much easier time, and I think a more successful time.
Completely.
Yeah.
And myself and Johnny balance each other out as well. I tend to be a little over optimistic at times, and Johnny sometimes worries about things that it doesn't need to be worried about. Probably. Yeah. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But if it was me, then we would effectively be running into the breach every 5 seconds, getting blown up, metaphor, and we'd come a cropper.
Yeah.
So I need Johnny to go, Tom, should we just kind of think about that one for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And equally, sometimes, hopefully, I can be not just irritating and be a bit positive as well.
Yeah.
For Johnny. Yeah.
mainly irritating, but interesting.
Yeah, I deserve that.
How's this kind of manifest with you, Lamy?
Yeah, it's a similar thing. I think I'm slightly different. The one thing I'm not great at is the musicianship side of things. You know, I can play guitar and play keys sort of just about, but I'm not a professional in any like instrument that I regularly need, and certainly when it comes to like a more classical or a theoretical side, I'm not a good sight reader. So that I have always tried to find musicians to kind of be around, and you know, I can engineer and I'm good with tech, and I'm good at composing. So I try and fill the gap with musicianship, I guess. Which is really handy because I mean that's, you know, knowing a whole bunch of decent musicians means you can get them to play on your music. You can, you know, you're always going to be able to call up a friend to quickly get something, and you know that can be the difference as to whether a track is sort of successful or not.
That's a really good point. Totally. So finding people not only with different skills of the mind, so to speak, but different instrumental skills. You know, if you're not the best bassist, you know, find the best bassist you know and get them involved in the project. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a vanity thing. You don't need to play everything. You don't need to do
Yeah.
Got to do what's best for whatever project you're working on.
Yeah.
And this generally in a way of, you know, just composing, you know, I can stick to a few different sort of styles, and like while I've tried my hand at lots of stuff and can get by fine, there'll probably be certain genres of music, especially as I go forward, that I'm just going to not really be the best at. And if I maybe, like, you know, if all of a sudden tomorrow I got called up because someone wanted some hip hop orchestral music, I might have a go at doing something myself, but then equally I might give you guys a call, because it might be better that actually you do the track and I do the orchestration on it. And that actually works out better for everyone. And that now we've all gained another networking ability and like dimension from that.
This is great. And this actually takes us into the next level of this, because we've covered the grassroots of relationships and how the relationships that start us off and inspire us to pursue music. Then we got into sort of those amateur relationships, relationships with friends that help you pursue music to an amateur level, but then maybe push you on to the next level. And now we've just started touching on those kind of pro relationships, the relationships that sometimes you are building in mind of business, in mind of work, and in mind of money. You know, people who you pay to come and play on a track, and or people who are going to pay you. And I think that's probably going to be one of the most interesting to people listening. And by the way, if you are interested, if you have specific questions, if you want to know about specific types of relationship, this is Facebook.com/TBB Manifesto. Leave us a comment on this video, even if it's after it's finished going live. We'll do our best to answer them afterwards as well. Yeah. So those key business relationships, it is still important to treat them as friendly relationships as well, right? I mean, am I right? Are there sometimes we want to separate, or do we always want to see the person first and the business second?
I think most of the time that's a really good way of working with people. You know, you can bounce ideas off of people and get a really good relationship going if you're on a social level as well as just on a professional level. And I think the best relationships are the ones that work on both spheres. But that doesn't mean you can't have a simply professional relationship, you know, and still that can be a friendly relationship too. You know, one example that I have is, you know, I pretty much always use the same mastering engineer, and I go to like attended sessions. So when we're there, it's amazing, you know, and you get to hang out a bit and it's social, but I don't see them outside of work, if you see what I mean.
Totally. And I suppose, sorry, Johnny.
Oh yeah, I think it all boils down to just being nice to people, right? You always just be nice to people and you'll get on with them and you'll get way more out of people.
So that's a good point, because I think, you know, once you have the opportunity to be sitting in front of people, there will be a lot of people listening to this going, yeah, that's all well and good. I think I'm a good person. I think I'm okay to hang around with, you know, but that's not the issue. For me, the issue is getting in front of that person in the first place. So let's like dig into a little bit of that.
Yeah.
How do you meet the right people? Let's say you've identified them. These are the group of people that are key to my career, i.e., let's list them quickly. A&R guys at production music companies, or A&R guys at labels. Key musicians who you want to play on your work, but you don't have access to at the moment. How do you start getting in contact with those people?
Well, I mean, these days, I think you have the best platform that's ever been there for doing it. You have social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or, LinkedIn, if it's slightly more professional when they're on that, or even just anything like
SoundCloud, just having music.
SoundCloud, and you can find people's online selves everywhere, and it's the easiest way to just send someone a message. Say 30, 40 years ago, how did you actually get in a room with that person to organize going for a coffee? That was tough because you had to knock on doors physically. Now you can send someone a message saying, I love your work. Can I have a chat with you over coffee sometime?
And let's say they don't reply. What's your next step?
Do you know anyone else in their network? Do you know, have they seen a message, or is there another way that you can message them more efficiently? Can you go to a gig of theirs if they're a musician or a performer or something? Can you get hold of their agent or their manager or their band mates or,
Yeah, so it's kind of like there's something worth mentioning here. With new rules around GDPR, and I'm not an expert and everybody should go and do their own research on this, things had changed. It used to be that when we started out, could find a phone number or get a phone number from somebody and give somebody a call. Cold calling. It's horrible. It's really, really like mind-numbing and soul destroying. But we did it, and we called people, and sometimes it worked. And the more numbers you did, the more chance you had of getting through to somebody who was receptive. That is, I don't think, allowed in pretty much any circumstance anymore, unless maybe it's a public number.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are other things that have changed. So what we're saying here is, if you find out people who are connected to those key people, get on their radar using social media. I guess, it's partly about putting out work as well. Work for the sake of putting out work. Is that true? Does that work?
Social media is your business card these days. It's such an easy way for you to try and interact with, someone, and then they can instantly click back to your page, whatever it's on, and find out something about you, whether that's like that you like a certain band, or they can have a look at your interest, or maybe you've actually got music up or examples of your work or your playing or something.
Yeah.
So I know some of the guys who work for the publishing companies. They would say, we're only interested in somebody if we see their work. If we see their work and we're interested in that specifically. But I also suspect that, the closeness of a relationship, i.e. if somebody they know, it's cronyism, effectively. If somebody they know knows that person and vouches for them as an artist, they're more likely to listen more than 10 seconds into a track.
Well, and that's just like any kind of, networking, quote unquote, anyway, is if you can get, instead of taking someone's phone number, which apparently now we're not allowed to do, if you could get someone who's a friend of theirs or a contact of theirs to say, do you mind if I give your phone number to someone else? Then all of a sudden you're one step further in, your foot's in the door in a way that it wasn't.
Yep. Right. And also, sorry, I was just going to say, and I suppose even better than that is a personal introduction.
Exactly, yeah. Like either whether it's phone, email, text, doesn't matter. But what I was about to say is the step on from that, which I think is the most important thing, is you want to make a personal relationship with this person. The reason cold emails don't work if you're trying to find a publisher or approach a new company to write music for or something, is because you're not giving them anything other than like a link to your work, and now the ball is in their court. If you can get coffee with someone, and I keep saying coffee because it seems to be this thing in the music industry that everyone is really open for. I can't find someone that I know that wouldn't have coffee with like a student or something, or someone in the morning, just to chat through something that they wanted to know about. Everyone's pretty generous with their time like that. And maybe, you know, the opposite being maybe a beer, you know, in the evening or something, but same thing. If you can get that one-to-one with someone, that's so much better than just leaving it an email or a text or a phone call.
Yeah. And I guess it's easy, you know, it's easy to get into the mentality. And I remember being in this mentality. It's still today. If I have to get in contact with somebody and it's a little bit like, you know, I don't have the relationship yet. Yeah. It's easy to think I'll send them an email because it's less invasive. I can just write something and I don't have to have, especially if you're a little bit of an introvert, I don't have to have that emotional reaction or that interaction that is hard work, working out how to act in that situation. I can totally understand that. I've done it. I'm sure all of us have felt like that at times. But Lamy, exactly what you say, the benefit of going for a beer or a coffee, even if it's excruciating, is that you will be remembered.
Yep.
You will get your best foot forward in that relationship. You will have an opportunity to show things off as a person, as a character that you wouldn't otherwise in an email or even a phone call. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to just, Johnny, do you want to add anything to that?
I think it's important to know you shouldn't get disheartened if you're trying to contact people and they are seemingly ignoring you either, because a lot of these people will be super busy and it won't be anything personal. If you're polite about it, it won't be personal. Generally, I find people want to be helpful, but a lot of the time people are really, really busy. So leave it for a bit. If they don't contact you back, leave it for a bit and maybe try again in, 2 months' time or something.
That's excellent. And there's a really good point you make, Dan. I want to ask you some more questions about that. So what you're saying is, if, you try the first time and you just get absolutely blanked or even literally told to go away, what's the level of persistence you should show and how should you feel about rejection?
Get used to rejection. I think that is something that you just have to get used to, and that's not just in relationships. It's music getting rejected, and it's just rejection is a massive part of the music industry. So you just need to get used to it.
And I guess with the arts in general.
Yeah, the arts.
Even if your work is great, not everything is going to connect with people. But also sometimes your work isn't that great. And that's important to be able to take feedback on as well and not take it personally. My work this time isn't great. That doesn't mean I'm terrible as a person or as an artist, right? Just means this piece of work could use a bit more work.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, I can't remember what you asked me. So,
well, it's about dealing with rejection.
Yeah, dealing with rejection,
which you've just got to get used to dealing with rejection, right?
Get used to it. Move on to the next thing. As soon as you're rejected,
how much are you persistent then?
So I think it's reasonable if they, unless they've explicitly said, please don't contact me ever again, which could happen. I don't know if it does happen, but it could happen. Maybe leave it 8 weeks, something like that, and then
I actually think you can be quicker. I think
maybe quicker. Maybe a month. Yeah.
Because you're right, people are busy, and I know from personal, experience that people do get in contact with people, and their emails get forgotten. They may get a reply or no reply, and it may be totally on your agenda to reply that week, but then all of a sudden a month goes by. So you just try again in a month, and if you try sort of 3 or 4 times and you're really not getting anything, then maybe pursue a different avenue, unless you're really, really. You need to go down the one again until you get a reply. Most of the time you're going to get something back, and it might be, I'm sorry, I really can't help right now, but it might be, I'm really sorry that I haven't been in contact with you and I've been meaning to reply.
So we have a comment from Ralph Saul, just tuned in. You guys talking about dating. So maybe we should reinforce what we're talking about.
So first things first, Ralph Saul, mate, thank you for asking us our first question, I believe. Is that our first question?
It's we've had a a few comments about
Comments,
other
right?
things.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically
comments
be
are
a
good,
kick
though.
ass stalker.
So
Amazing.
it's a really, really good point. You know, we're talking about relationships in the music industry. And by the way, Ralph's a really, really lovely guy. We knew him a long, long time ago. Super cool guy. Does some really cool stuff on Instagram. I don't know if he has a private or open Instagram. If it's public, go check his stuff out. It's some very cool photos. But great question, because I think relationships are very similar across the board, whether they're platonic, business, or otherwise. And really, the stuff that works and is correct in most relationships is the same, i.e., you want to be polite and you want to be nice and don't be arrogant. I failed on that one so many times when I was younger. You know, don't pretend you know absolutely everything, because you don't. And the older I've got, the more I sort of realize how much I don't know and how much I appreciate other people and their knowledge and their experience. And I think that's a really, really good one. So if you go and have a coffee, let's say you get that coffee and you've gone and sat down with this really important person who's going to be instrumental to your career, ask them questions.
Yeah.
Try not to let them ask you all the questions.
And learn something from them.
Yes. People love teaching people.
Yeah.
People love feeling like they're imparting knowledge. So ask them questions and listen and care and ask more questions about the answers they've given you. That is probably one of the best bits of advice I think we could give, or I could give at least.
Definitely. No, I agree with that.
We preempted what I was going to ask you next, which was, as we're coming towards the end of our hour, I think Facebook might kick us off, or something's going to kick us off in less than 10 minutes.
I might just kick you off, to be honest.
John, I wanted to ask both of you before we finished, what was the best advice that you ever received, at the start of your career? And you must have received that advice anyway, Tom, but you just gave it, so now you need to find another one.
Yeah, I had another one for this anyway. I'm going to cheat on this because I'm not entirely sure anybody specifically gave it to me, but I know this advice exists out there. I think I read it a bunch of times in different books, and I think it's something that people who end up being a success do. And that is simply keep having a go. It's the old try and try again. I think I probably started about 20 businesses vaguely related to music, all of which failed. I kept failing. I failed so many times, but I literally don't remember any of those failures, by the way, and I definitely didn't see them as failures. Normally what happened is I tried something, it worked for a little while, and then it stopped working, and I went, okay, well, I'll change and I'll do something else then. And then eventually I got to something that was working, and that was working in production music and starting the company with our current team, Shutter Audio. Go check us out, www.shutteraudio.com. You definitely don't need the www anymore. I don't know. I was born in the late 80s. That's why. Shutteraudio.com. Check out some of our stuff. But I would say keep doing things. Even if you're not entirely sure it's going to work, do it for a while. And if it's clear that you've come to the end of the road, a cul-de-sac, that's not the end of your career. Stop, reassess, look for another opportunity, go with that. Just keep doing stuff. People who keep doing stuff end up succeeding at something. If you're just single-minded about something, there's a chance you might go down the wrong road and find yourself a bit stuck. Keep your peripheral vision open. Be ready to take opportunities.
Yeah, very good, Tom.
Thank you.
I feel very inspired right now.
It sounds like you're being facetious and sarcastic.
I'm going to go start a new business right now.
No, I need you. We need you.
Yeah.
Go on then, Johnny. What's yours?
I can't remember who told me this, and it was super simple, and it's really, really relevant. And it was just, I think it was network. That was basically it. Just go and network as much as you possibly can.
It's a good one. Put yourself out there, basically.
Put yourself out there
Go
as
to
much as you
parties.
possibly can. Yeah.
Oh, can we just do this one quickly? Because this is actually super important. I know we're coming up to time, but just to say, and I think we all agree on this, go to parties, socialize, go to music events and stuff like that.
That's not the one right now, but yeah, just go out.
I know you
Don't
can't
do it
at the moment, but yeah, we should have really talked about COVID and how to do things in COVID situation a bit more, but we didn't have time. But whether it's on the internet, talking to people, going out there, going to parties, whether they're music related or not, build your friendship network, and you are building your network. They are not separate. Networking is this dirty word that means that you want something from somebody. Go out there and try and give things to people. Be of use, be of value to people, and people will gravitate towards you.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I think if I had to sum it up and try and make it pithy, the best advice I ever received was nobody learned anything by talking. And
I love that.
You have to have your ears open when you're in the music industry, because you like you said, Tom, you don't know everything. Especially for me, like when I was coming out of university, I just finished a master's. Apparently, I was a master of composition. Right? I thought I was a professional, but I was not a professional, and I didn't know that. And I was lucky very quickly to meet a composer called Richard Harvey, who in a very nice way was able to give me that advice. He didn't say, shut up, like, listen. He said, listen, you're not going to teach me anything. I'm old and I've gone through everything, and I have done this and I'm very experienced, but so I'm probably not going to learn anything from you, but you can learn something from me if you pay attention. I've got a lot of experience that I can share. And this has stuck with me like forever, to the point where even a few months ago, sitting in recording sessions, yes, I'm there for my own ability, and because I'm a professional, but there's always something I can learn. I'm sat around amazing composers. I'm sat around, music editors, producers of films, directors of films. I'm always going to learn something. Yes, I may have got to the point where I can teach somebody something, but not them. I have to keep my ears open when I'm around them.
Exceptional advice. And I would say, just to add a little bit to that, of course, the greatest composers in the world, of which Richard Harvey is certainly one of them. Hans Zimmer's up there. I know something we talked about before, that Hans Zimmer does this a lot. They keep learning. They don't stop learning, really. I know they're not going to learn from some kid who's just got out of uni. At least not a lot. But they keep looking for things. They keep learning new sounds, new ways of doing things, new approaches to their own music. Music is an intellectual, it's a mind thing. It happens mostly up here. And if you're really good, it also gets down to here. And to other people as well. But you just have to keep thinking, you have to keep learning. And if you feel like you know everything, then find a different career.
Yeah, or try and learn more.
Or just change your attitude. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Much better. Much better.
Just give up. Just give up.
Just give up.
Get out.
Well, thank you very much, guys. That was an awesome chat. We are
questions before we finish.
Yes. Ask any questions now whilst I'm going through the wrapping us up bit. We are TBB Manifesto. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TBB Manifesto. Once I get my act together, we're going to put some of these videos up in an edited version on YouTube /.com/TBB Manifesto. I'll also put some links in the description so you can chop forward to the bits you want to hear again. We're going to do these every single Monday at about 1:00. And we're going to cover a different topic each week. I'm not sure we'll discuss what we're going to, discuss next week. So that'll be a surprise, but it'll be something relevant to music, the music industry, composition and production. So if that's what you're into, keep on us. Right. So anyway, thank you very much for listening, Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
And we will catch you next Monday for a different topic about the music industry. This is TBB Manifesto. Love you lots. Stay safe.